Hello, everyone, and welcome to Plate Stack Chat. I say it every time, but just in case you don't know by now, my name is Jason. It's Jason CF Media on all the socials. And on these shows, I'm always joined by some fantastic people for a chat. So let's get them out right now. First up, we have an incredible athlete who is doing Belgium proud in the world of CrossFit. Last year, he finished 4th at semi-finals and took 10th place at the CrossFit Games. This year, he made it onto the podium at the European semi-finals with a 2nd place finish. So it's true, I'm not as good at maths and statistics as some of the people in the CrossFit space, but I have to assume that means he is finishing higher at the Games this year. Please welcome the incredible Jelle Hoste.
Hi, thanks for having me.
Well, thanks for coming. I know you've cut your session a little bit short. You're stretching out at the moment, so I appreciate that. That's dedication to both your games training and this podcast. So I appreciate that on both accounts.
I didn't cut my training. I just cut the shower. So
just cut the shower. Okay.
Training has priority, and you can smell me from there. So
I know. But now we can all just imagine that through the rest of the podcast. Like, I wonder what Jelle smells like right now. Brilliant. Now, joining Jelle and myself is a woman that does not want to be here. She is much happier working hard behind the scenes and wants to leave the spotlights to the athletes. But here I am dragging her into the public eye. She is the other half of Backland Management working with Snorri, so that might give you an idea of what she does. And she also has a name I'm almost certain to say wrong. So please welcome Lucile Phelouzat.
Yeah, no, thanks for having me.
Close enough with the name?
Pretty good. I'm
pretty
proud
good.
Of it.
Yeah. Well, and Jelle, was I spot on with the name?
Yeah, because you checked 5 minutes ago.
He's always like, disclosing secrets like that. Terrible.
It's better to check. It's always better to ask.
But it's a very nice pronounce. Thank you.
Oh, you're welcome. I make the effort. Not that I'm calling out any people that would be like, announcing your name publicly to hundreds of thousands of people that could be watching on a live stream or anything like that. But I will always check your name. That's important. I guess first we got to say, well, congratulations, Jelle. What a performance at a pretty stacked European semi-finals.
Thank you. Yeah, it was indeed very stacked, and what was it, like 18 games competitors and only 10 spots, so drama will happen, and I'm happy that I got through.
Yeah, this year the number of people that haven't got through, the names that you sort of almost take for granted to see at the games that aren't there, it's pretty incredible. It's going to be an interesting games field, but for you it's got to feel good, going back. It's your 2nd year going back, so going back not as a rookie, but also having put up I know semi-finals aren't the games, as I'm constantly being told by people, but still a good finish at semi-finals has to kind of set your mind in a good spot going then into the game.
It indeed was a very good gut check, because I felt very good going into it, and not everyone that feels good going into it can translate that into results. So I'm happy that it turned out this way, and it's only good momentum to the next stage, I think.
Yeah. Lucile, you were there. You were watching. You were screaming probably at him.
Yeah, I did lose my voice for 3 days. So yeah.
You did. So did you really lose your voice, or was that just an excuse to not come on the show?
No. I did really lose my voice. We were lucky enough to have quite a lot of competitors in Europe. So we had around 19 people competing there. And on my own roster, I had Jelle, I had Victor Hofer, and I had Aniol in the men's side, and I had Turi and Elena Caratala on the women's side. So, yeah, I had a lot of training to do. And those boys made me cry and made me scream. So, yeah.
Yeah. And you're really putting me to shame with how good you are at pronouncing all these names. So that's...
I've been working with them for a while, so if I don't say their name well, that would be a problem, I think.
Yeah. So did I hear correctly that Jelle didn't want to work with you initially?
Yeah, well, it was not me, especially. He was not really keen on having an agent or a manager. He just didn't think we were just, useful.
Yeah.
I don't know, Jelle. Tell me your side of the story.
I was going to say, have you changed? Well, let's check if he's changed his mind first of all.
Yeah, I am maybe more leaning towards the side of managers now, as I've seen what it can bring and I see the benefits. But initially, I was not really like keen on working with managers because I thought I could do it myself, and yeah, I also wasn't sure what to expect. And especially when I heard what I could expect, like I can be open about it. Like I don't pay the manager until a certain budget, then it almost seems like a little bit too good of a deal because.
Right.
And I'm always very sketchy about deals and like the emails you get, like, "Hey, I never heard about you, but your grandmom died, and you can now get 15 million euros." It's like you
Yeah.
directly see it's a scam, and I always have a feeling with something that comes easy or that comes too easy, it's like a scam, and I want to stay away from it. And then I had basically nothing to lose, so and we had like a friend in a mutual friend that recommended me to Lucile. And then I say I have nothing to lose. If it's nothing, we are not tied to each other anymore, and yeah, we are still
Yeah.
with each other. So it turned out well.
Yeah. So it's not a scam.
Well,
It's not a scam.
So far, it's not a scam. Okay.
no,
Yeah. Because I'm still waiting to hear back from that Nigerian prince, but you know, I'm pretty sure.
Exactly.
I'm pretty sure that's not a scam. I used to like quite some years ago now. I used to work in a hotel in Venice, and the amount of like scam emails that would come in, being like, "Oh, we want to book a big tour in Venice," and it would be kind of like, "Oh, but we're going to pay you this much money." And you're like, "Well, what for? What?" It's like, "Oh, and then you transfer back this much to us," and you're like, "This is." And the owner, we had to just always kind of hold him back because he was like, "Well, let's do it. Let's, and we'll get the money, and then we won't transfer it back." You're like, "It doesn't work like that. Just
Yeah,
don't do
exactly.
that." Yeah.
and it is a difficult business, and it could be a very shady business as well, as we're not, I would say, regulated like NBA or NFL or any of those things. So there is a huge part of trust that you have to build with your athlete, of course. And and it worked well with Jelle, and I guess the way that Backlund does the thing, and that the way that Snorri has implemented them, makes also the athlete feel comfortable and safe and secure. That it just translates well when we have the trust of each other and everything. So
Yeah. Yeah. Are you? Where is that? Like your home gym, or you at a gym?
Yeah, I'm working from the home office today.
Right. Okay. So is that your cat?
Yeah, that was my cat. She came to check.
Look at that.
She's always, every time I drop a barbell or when she hears there's no noise, she comes. And then the moment I touch a barbell again or I spin up the echo bike, she's gone.
Yeah.
So
Right.
now she heard that, like, is my boss still there? Or he's not doing anything.
Yeah.
She's checking if I'm not slacking.
Oh, nice. So is that your other manager?
Yeah. Coach.
More of a coach, I was gonna say. Yeah. Who is coaching you, or are you just coaching yourself?
No, I have Andre as a coach, Andre
Right.
Houdet
Oh,
from
wow.
No Shortcuts Training, and yeah, he programs me my daily schedule.
Yeah, it's clearly working. Were you working with him last year as well?
Yeah, I started working with him just before the open of 2023,
Right.
so December or something, and so we weren't working so long together last semifinals, but already like a decent, what was it, 6 months. But now we have been together working for 1 year and a half, and yeah, I continue to see progress, and I think I'm in a good place right now.
Yeah. So is he the one that's making you do all this handstand stuff, or is that separate? Because did I see? Because I went back to your Instagram because I was like, I may have dreamt this, but I'm pretty sure I saw you doing like these handstands and then having to land on the ball.
Yeah.
But then I couldn't find it, and I was like, oh, maybe it was just a story, so you hadn't actually put it on the grid.
Yeah, it was a story. Yeah, it's actually Andre that makes me reach out to professionals in different aspects of the sport, and that's how I got in touch with a gymnastic coach that lives basically 5 minutes away from my house. And yeah, he has been a gymnast on world level, and he can teach me so much, but the problem is he's very limited in time. And the only things that fit both our schedule was when I joined his, like in Belgium it's called Top Sport Crew. So he has like 5 athletes that have a special agreement with school, and they can train like 6 or 8 hours in the morning, and they have then 12 hours in the evening. So they train 20 hours a week, and I can join them in their morning session on Tuesday. And yeah, it's very humbling and learning full experience.
Yeah, I just saw you trying to like, so you're basically starting on the ball, like bouncing up into a handstand, and then having to like chase the ball basically and land back down on it.
Yeah, he's very inventive with finding new exercises, and it's basically just being aware where you are in the space and making sure you can adapt and go in every direction. And this exercise was indeed like getting into a handstand, do a pirouette, and look where the ball is and land on it, and repeat that for 3 to 4 times.
Like with that level of awareness, do you think that will help with? So like we saw it even at semifinals. You know, you've got the lines, the narrow, like kind of tracks that you're, and obviously you've got quite a wingspan. You're a big guy, so having to keep your hand, make sure you don't touch the white line. That's a no rep. You know, you don't want to be halfway down the field and getting called back. Is it like that level of awareness that you're kind of developing, that you can see and you know, like I can move my hands an inch to the left, an inch to the right?
That's basically the goal. Yeah, like you will probably at the games you are tested like on accuracy things, like doing a handstand walk into a headstand and then back to the next, like freestanding handstand push-ups. But it has to be on that spot, and if you're like 1 inch off or too far, you have to go back. And it's if you're not used to that, it can throw you off or make sure you fall down and have to repeat it. So it more helps me like execution wise. Nice. Like it will maybe not make me run faster, but it will make sure that if I do something, I stay inside the lines, I stay inside the square, and these kind of things.
Yeah, which is I don't know if it's overlooked, but I mean that is the thing. Like when there was that sprint event at the games, and like Brooke Wells just stepped on the line. I mean, she's a fast sprinter. So it wasn't speed that was the issue. It was the fact that, you know, that just a toe touched the line, and the penalty that she got was so severe that it just meant it didn't matter how fast you were, you couldn't come back from that. So like accuracy and execution is, I guess it's harder to train. Like it's not what we train for, just kind of commonly in the box. That is a next level sort of, you know, my coaches aren't screaming at me if my foot goes over the line into like another bay.
Yeah, exactly. And if you never pay attention to that, and the first time you pay attention to it is on the competition floor, it can come very costly.
Yeah. Lucile, are you planning to head over and like join him on one of these gymnastics camps and start bouncing off a ball into? Yeah.
Of course. Yeah. No. I did say I will visit his home gym and house in Belgium, because we are working hard on him having his dream house and dream recovery room and everything. So I think very soon his house is going to be like quite the paradise. But I will not join any gymnastics session. No. The question I want to ask: you were in weightlifting, 101 weightlifting camp with Victor. So I was wondering if you throw a few like gym stuff, because obviously you better than Victor in general. Like the results shows that you better than Victor at the minute.
Victor, don't listen. Victor, if you're listening, just
Victor can take it.
Victor can take
it. He knows exactly. Like, but right now, Jelle, are you catching him up in gymnastic?
We had some playtime on the hands at the camp, and I think it's impossible to catch up like tens of years of 20 hours a week of gymnastic awareness. But when it's just like straight handstand racing, or it really comes down to capacity, I think I can beat him. But once it's like new skills, and he obviously has like a bigger background, and he will figure it out faster probably. But like it depends on the test. The more technical it gets, and the less room for error, I think the chances are more likely towards his side.
Right.
But
But you are
it's fun.
closing the gap. That's the idea.
Closing the gap, but if it ever will be closed is the other question.
Yeah, I guess that the goal is sort of how many people are there in between you and him, right? So
Yeah, exactly.
you know, that's closing the gap is just knocking a few competitors sort of to the other side of the line so that you're not losing as many points when he is ahead. And I guess you're hoping for, I don't know, like ski erg into a handstand sprint to the other side onto like an echo bike, whereas he's hoping for pirouette into a onto a box, then some freestanding handstand push-ups, and you know, the more technical it is, that's his wheelhouse. The more you can just move something else and then run on your hands while fatigued is kind of what you're hoping for.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
Like semifinals was the
ideal.
Was my chance to beat him, but I fucked up in the first round. I tried to do a pirouette, but I never tried it like on this speed because we were racing really fast, and I just collapsed over. So I had to catch up, and in the end, I was 5 seconds short of beating him, and I made a 6 second 6 seconds error. So technically, I beat him.
So technically, you beat him. Okay. All right, we'll package that up and send it off to the games team, and we'll see if they can adjust some scoring. Technically, you won. Nice. I did see you at FitFest in December last year. I didn't get to speak to you, unfortunately. I think you were ducking me, maybe. But how was that, like, getting to kind of compete on a team with those athletes and it being a bit more relaxed? I'm trying to think who was on your. You were like with Velner, and I'm trying to think who else was on your team. I can't remember. Velner was on your team though, right?
Yeah.
And obviously that was coming off of your like rookie year at the games. So I mean, again, and also rookie year 10th place finish that's pretty impressive as well. So like, I'm just wondering, was there kind of like a night, and then now you've got a manager, like it feels like it's kind of almost just an instant switch from being like up and coming to suddenly like a household name and people knowing who you are and being somebody in the space. Like, have you noticed that sort of that change?
Well, FitFest was a cool experience to start with. It's like you can travel to a location where a lot of people can see you and you actually have the time to meet them and to say hi and to have a little chat. Where at the games or at semifinals, I'm as fast as possible off the floor to get my food in and go back to the hotel and chill. And I try to engage as less as possible with supporters. But it's something I like to do when there is room, and at FitFest there was room for it, and I really like that experience. So it's a cool concept, and I hope there is more of that in the future. Like for off season, it's perfect.
Yeah. Is there, Lucile? Is there any kind of? So obviously you're managing him. You're trying to promote him as much as possible to try and get, sponsors on board, companies on board, people knowing this name, working with him. So at things like semifinals, is there any kind of, not conflict, but Jelle he's there on a mission. So for him, it is fuel myself, get the rest I need, recover, be ready for the next event. Is there any kind of you being like, yeah, but you kind of need to spend a little bit, you need just to say hello to 2 people, just to, no, you're just goal focused as well.
My priority for everyone is performance, like for all of them. And I know that after events, and they all know that, and we have those conversations and we build it together to like, okay, if we want to have those sponsors coming in, if we want to have the people liking you, knowing you, you need to give time back to them. But there is moments, and the moments are not the competition, unfortunately. The competition is for them to be in the bubble and deliver the result that make people dream. And then after they know that there is events like FitFest, and maybe moments like he did yesterday, a seminar with people attending, or he will go to, when he trains in some gyms, or if he goes traveling, he will meet people. And that's exactly the moment where he will take the time to see the people and engage with them. But I will never put any pressure on any of my athletes during semi-final of the games. This is the time to shine, and that's what they're here for. So
So are you actually like the opposite? Are you like kind of the shield of?
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
I assume for people that do have a relationship with him, they're wanting his time then and there, because it's like, well, now people are talking about you. You know, you just won that event. We want, you know, that now's our moment, and you're kind of there.
Yeah.
And
I would like, obviously it's always what the, you know, what the athlete want. And, you know, like, let's say some are doing a YouTube channel, for example. So they will tell me, okay, I'm allowing that person to contact me. But then, for example, I know for Jelle, even myself, I know I will, for example, contact his fiance during the time of competition, because I do not want Jelle to be bothered.
yeah, Jelle is building walls as he
Yeah,
goes.
they need to.
Yeah.
They need to. Everybody wants a piece of them.
Yeah. Okay.
And Jelle is like, he has huge fan base in Belgium and Holland, even in France. And everybody wants a piece of him. Everybody wants a picture with him. Everybody wants a T-shirt from him. But the thing is, if we do not put those walls, then, you know, like, he needs to, yeah, to just, for this moment, to just have his time and his bubble. And even myself, I communicate with Zoe, his fiance, and she's amazing. And I know exactly what Jelle needs, if he needs anything, and that's fine. And he's doing what he does, and he does it well. So
Oh, I'm just going to apologize now for the number of DMs your fiance is going to get during the games now. Like, now I know the secret to get to Jelle is for his fiance. So that's
don't worry, Zoe will just like triage.
yeah.
And,
Make sure she knows who I am, Jelle. Just so
Okay.
when I want to send through a congratulatory message or something.
Okay.
It's interesting the thing you brought up about like Belgium like getting behind Jelle and that, because I do think, like, we saw, you know, we said Europe was like a really stacked semi-final. There's been a lot of talk about, you know, did they get enough spots? Actually, you know, Europe is really strong. The thing I also find fascinating, like when we contrast Europe and North America, is, you know, like North America, it's all these athletes that are American, right? Or, you know, Canadian, but mostly from the States. Whereas with Europe, like when Jelle makes it through, like he is the representative for Belgium. So you kind of instantly get, you know, all these people that are going to follow you regardless of kind of who you are, but more where you're from. You see a similar thing with like ones like Elisa Fugliano, like the Italian contingent that just get behind her because of where she's coming from. And you don't really get that with America, because yes, you're going to have people that are like from states or from certain parts of the states. But do you find, like, is that a kind of a, I don't know, like an automatic positive, or can that be a bigger pressure that you feel like you represent, you know, the entire country is sort of on your shoulders?
I never thought about it like this.
Sorry,
but,
I've ruined you.
No. I think it will never match the pressure I put on myself to like put on a good performance, because I work hard every day, and it's, if you put in so much work every day, if you eat like clean, if you make sure you sleep enough, if you make all the sacrifices, then I think no one wants it more than me to have a good performance. And it's very nice that it's like a smaller country than the States, of course. So like the following you get from Belgium is also smaller, but I feel it's like more intense.
Yeah.
I see like a trend when an American athlete goes to the games, like their following is like triple or quadruple mine following. But when I see like the supporters at semifinals that are actually there for me, like wearing my support T-shirt, where I see like Belgian flags everywhere, I think that gets more intense than like the States. At least that's the feeling I have.
Well, I guess it's because, like, you know, if you're looking at like Instagram, for example, you know, that one person who then goes and follows 10 athletes, like if that happens with, you know, 100 people go and follow those 10 athletes, all 10 of those athletes get 100 extra followers. But like, how dedicated is that follower to all 10 of those athletes? You know, not even all 10 of them are going to make the games, right? So it's sort of like, yeah, I love them all, but, you know, not to the same. Whereas those like Belgian people that are following you are probably, some are probably also following other athletes, but there's a good chance that if they're following you, it's because of you, like, and you're the one. And yeah, when they're, you know, I would be amazed if they've got multiple flags when they're in the stands and they're like, oh, Jelle's out, let's get the Belgian flag up. Oh, hold on, I'm going to change. So
Yeah.
that's got to feel good.
No,
I
indeed, I have a lot of followers that I know, like colleagues from work, or like just people that live like few kilometers away, or teachers in high schools, or like that has nothing to do with CrossFit, but
yeah.
they just know like me from the local area. And yeah, that's, if they see one CrossFit post, it's probably just me. And
Yeah.
maybe that gives a better engagement, or like more intense supporters, which is cool.
What is the kind of I guess general, like this is very general now, but kind of the opinion of CrossFit in Belgium? Like, is it something that most people now know what it is? Is it still very niche? Is it sort of, is it kind of like back in the day in America where people are like, oh, that's a bit crazy and people hurt themselves? I mean, I don't know kind of how, how deep CrossFit has penetrated yet.
Yeah, I'm most people I meet, like they know what CrossFit are because they know me.
Yeah.
But if I meet like people that I don't know, or that I have never seen before, chances are high that they never heard about CrossFit, or they have a friend that maybe does it, but they actually have no clue what it is. And yeah, I think it's like in a certain community, it's very well known, but also it's very. I think more people don't know it than people that know it.
Yeah, because yesterday I was speaking with, I had 3 teen athletes on that have all qualified for the games, but obviously like they're still at school and stuff. So I was asking kind of, well, what do your school friends think about what you're doing? Do they know what it is? And it's like all they know is butterfly pull-ups. That's all they know, is that we don't do real
Yeah.
pull-ups, and that's all they have to. You're like, okay, I understand. So, which is amazing, because obviously we are like in this bubble, this CrossFit bubble, and everybody knows it, and they all know you kind of all know who the same people are, and you all know what the open workouts were, and then you go out into the real world and you're like, oh, actually, a lot of people
Yeah.
still don't know anything about this, or what they do know is wrong, or is kind of a little bit twisted in what they think CrossFit is. But there you are, putting it on the map. Well done.
Yeah, like making it to the games, I think drew a lot of attention to CrossFit in Belgium, because I also had like interviews and reportage. Is that an English word? I don't know. Documentary, like a documentary on national TV, and then I think it sparked a lot of interest with people that like saw it, and then what the hell is CrossFit? And then they looked into it, but yeah. Maybe it's already gone and forgotten again until
this
the
year.
summer, hopefully.
Yeah, you better remind them all again. I mean, I want, but that is interesting, because you do wonder what, like 2 years in a row of hearing that, we've got this guy on this international stage. He's gone over to America, competed with the best in the world at this sport, and done us really proud. And you're like, oh yeah, I remember hearing about that last year. This guy, like, you kind of, the more it happens, and I think that's where we constantly have this kind of the sport and the methodology, and is the sport good for CrossFit in general, and does it scare people off? But there are going to be a lot of people now that had never really heard of CrossFit until you did it, until a local news station talked about it, and they're like, oh, actually, I have seen that written somewhere. Maybe there is a box, nearby that they've driven past but never really kind of paid attention to. So I think, I think it is, what you're doing is good for you, obviously, but I think it's good for CrossFit in general. As long as the other Belgians don't get too good at CrossFit, that, the European semi-final becomes even more stacked, and then you maybe get some teen athletes in, let them sort of age up first, and then.
There was yesterday I had a like seminar, and there was a Belgian team that qualified for the games.
Oh,
so
wow.
that was very nice that like they come to my seminar, they want to learn a lot, and you want them to give them as much as possible, so they can maybe grow into the men's elite later as well.
Yeah.
And he was very motivated, and also scared, because it was his first CrossFit games as a teen, and his mom came to talk to me like, we have so much to do and we are so lost, and I gave them some tips, and I think she calmed down a bit, or could give it a place, like it's like step by step, and fix this, and you will be all right. And yeah, I hope at least I could help her a bit.
Yeah. How does that like make you feel? as kind of, being now like not just an athlete, but clearly a role model? If people are asking you this kind of questions, this advice, like what were you anticipating that, or is that an element to kind of CrossFit that you hadn't been thinking was going to happen?
Well, it's nice. I like to, if it's one thing that I like about it, is that I can inspire people. Like if they better their life because I do what I love to do, I think it's just a win-win. And the more popularity or reach I have on Instagram, the more people I can inspire, and that's nice.
Yeah. So you sort of shifted to like full-time athlete now, then for now. So you were working last year when you were at the games.
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
how has that sort of changed? I mean, obviously, I'm guessing you didn't have time to head off to these different sort of, gymnastics camps and things when you were also trying to balance kind of a tradition. What were you doing for work, by the way?
I was an IT consultant, so there I could already like build a decent fitness because it's a very flexible job.
Yeah.
But so I could, if my morning session runs out a bit, I could start later, or when I have to go earlier, I can go earlier, and they are very flexible in the time when you work.
Yeah.
And you're not really tied to anything, so that's very nice. But like you say, if you want to attend the camp or you want, I only had basically like 28 days of vacation. So if you're already like 3 weeks in the States, you have maybe 1 week or 2 weeks left to spread throughout the years. So
so I'm assuming you were an IT, you had to like go in as well and like actually go into offices or go into locations and see people and sort stuff out. Did they ever react to like you turning up being you and like, this isn't what I imagine an IT consultant to look like usually? It's maybe the fittest IT consultant that we've ever had here. Like, were there ever that kind of reaction to it?
Yeah, there were a lot of them. In the beginning, I tried like to hide it a bit because I didn't want to that like they use my personal life to like have a bias or like think different about me or about my professional life. I wanted to like keep it separated, but after like showing up in the morning like in a rush, still sweating with your breakfast in your hands, they start to ask questions, and they also see you're like 1.90 meters and 100 kilos, and you look a bit different than the casual ITer. And
when you need to like get behind the desk and you just lifting the desk and moving it down there, and they're going, oh, this guy's the other guy had trouble getting down onto his knees to crawl under the desk. This guy's a unit.
You've been pretty lucky as well, if I can say, like with Delaware. So that's the company he used to work and everything. Like they've been, I want to say, like they've been very supportive of his journey. And I don't think there is many company that would have done that, because I was in corporate before, and I don't think my company would have done that if I was at your level. So yeah, he has been very lucky. And I don't know, like, have you converted anyone to CrossFit in Delaware by now?
Like
any employee now are doing CrossFit because of you?
I know some started CrossFit or like at least tried after the games last year, and I know some were doing and are still doing CrossFit, but I didn't know before. They just like reached out like, oh, we didn't know we have a colleague, because I started with the company when they had like 800 people, and now they are over 3,000 people. So I don't know everyone, but it's I got a lot of connections like through CrossFit in my professional life as well, and that's cool.
Yeah, I love the idea that somebody was working there that did CrossFit and probably thought they were pretty fit and pretty good, and then they found out about you and were like, oh, like, my title as fittest IT consultant has just gone out the window because Jelle's here.
Like most CrossFitters that talk all the time about CrossFit, and I'm like pretty fit. I never talk about it because I didn't want to like ruin my professional career because they think I'm not committed to it.
Oh, I don't know who Michael Brink is, but he's enjoying the show. That's good. Do you know this?
No.
Brink. Don't know him?
What was the joke?
I think it's just the fact that you're the fittest IT consultant, and probably I'm assuming he likes that. Um, I've got to ask you, because you clearly are very dedicated. You've got your home gym here. You're all in on that. As you said, like semi-finals. It's all about eat, sleep, train. Well, not train, compete. Eat, sleep, compete. What do you do like to disconnect from CrossFit? Like, surely you kind of need to get that like mental kind of break from now and again, or is it just living and breathing CrossFit, or is there stuff that you like? No, now this is the moment that I have to kind of unwind, to just reset things a little bit.
I think my wife does a very good job in keeping the balance.
Yeah.
Like, it's not that I want to talk about CrossFit all the time, or that I like, but still I would be like analyzing videos maybe, or like rewatching workouts, and then it's like, hey, it's Sunday, it's rest day, you don't have to do anything about CrossFit, and then we go out and chill. And I think she's unaware of it, but she balances it very well, and that's how I deconnect.
She keeps you grounded. Has she like actually come in and turned off like videos when you're watching them and sort of said, no, it's a rest day?
No. If I really want to watch it, she lets me watch it, but she has, it's a woman. They can tell things without telling things.
Right.
I can never really understand it, but
yeah, she's got a system. So really, we need to speak to her and work out what the system is. But she's clearly got a system that keeps you under control. That's good though, because I do think it's tough, because it is like, especially when you've got the gym at home, and it's not even like once you're home, you can kind of, you're there, like you're constantly, and you clearly have a very analytical mind as well. And so, I mean, I guess you get a lot of like Brent Fikowski comparisons. Is that something that happens a fair bit, do you reckon?
Yeah, sometimes I saw it. Like if they compare me to an athlete, it's sometimes with Fikowski, and I also see like where it comes from. It was actually, I have a funny story about that. Like the first time I really spoke to him was after the doping control and the games.
Right.
Like everybody was like rushing towards their families and like getting more beers and pizzas, and I saw him like between all the materials that the crew had cleaned up, and he was like taking measurements of the P bars, and I was like going towards him, it's like, yeah, I want to get my hands on like the standards at home. And I was like, oh, that's a very interesting thing you're doing. And then I like kind of joined him. I said, yeah, but I don't have a measure tape. And then I figured out a measure tape, and we took all the measurements. And that was my first message to him on Instagram, like sending the measurements of the P bar setup. So I get to where it comes from. I think it's a funny story.
Because I think most people, they do the comparison because you're tall, right? So it's like, oh, you're a taller athlete, Brent's a taller athlete, so you're the Belgian Fikowski. But it's not that. It's clearly that you both approach things with like how can we break it down, like almost mathematically, like let's work out. So even that kind of, because we talked about like the accuracy with the handstand walk and like not touching on the line. I think a lot of people struggled with the box this year, like the jumping up and stepping down, because they were really wide boxes, and it was like you couldn't swing your leg. If you sort of swung your leg over the side, your leg was over the line, and then you were coming down over the line. So like, are they the kind of things that you're already thinking about when you're looking at workouts and you're like, this box is wide, that's going to be interesting? Lucile is nodding. It feels like she knows the answer to this question.
Maybe she knew, but they changed the standards about the box jump overs. Like I don't know when they changed it, but I figured out at the briefing that you could not touch your own like body part, but your leg could swing out of the box, where last year you could like grab your own foot, but your feet could not go outside the box.
Right.
Okay. And I usually use the technique, like, because the rubber, sometimes my feet get stuck on it. and then I just grabbed my foot and I threw it back, and that's like how I practiced it all the time.
Oh no.
And I had to figure out like in my mind I was laying in my bed and it's like, okay, I cannot do this, but I can use the advantage of my leg swinging out, so maybe I had to jump more on the side. And they say nothing like the first weekend about the lines, so I was basically doing my box jumps outside the lines, just on the edge of it.
Oh.
And I practiced that in the hotel, like putting two, how's it called, what's next to the bed, where you put
Oh, like the side tables.
yeah, I'd like two side tables to each other, and I practiced the box jumps on that.
Oh wow. I bet the
So
hotel was happy.
yeah, I
Wait, what
don't
happened
mind.
to these tables?
Yeah,
Yeah, no idea. I don't know. They were like that when I got here. Yeah.
but
Okay.
at least I got some box jumps with the new technique in, and they could
Yeah.
settle in my night.
Do you visualize like the work that you're saying? You're like lying in bed, you're picturing it. So is that kind of? Do you visualize yourself going through all of these workouts? Are you like in your mind seeing the transition, seeing how you're going to move from A to B? Like, is it that level when you're approaching a workout, or is it a little bit more? I've got a rough idea. Let's see if it executes.
No, I do like with Andre. He's also like very analytical, and he makes me like do it like every workout. Like if it's a set of 21, every 7 advance. Or if it's 15, like every 5 advance, and yeah, always advancing, starting on the starting line, sprinting to the finish, like being disciplined and making sure it's just something that comes casual and not something you have to think about on the floor.
How like accurate are your kind of mental walkthroughs to actually? Do you know what I mean? Like if everyone you've got a plan, you're like, I know I'm going to do this many reps before I break, or I'm gonna do this but unbroken, or I'm gonna take a breath here. Like then when you're actually out competing, kind of how closely do these two things match up? Generally, I get that there'll be a lot of variables, but generally speaking, are you pretty good at knowing
Yeah,
where you're going to be?
we like try to plan it exactly how I'm going to do it, but I also try to stay flexible because on a competition you can have like 5, 6, 7 to 12 events. So
Yeah.
I'm not always practicing like 12 events in the body and what will happen the last event. So we usually have a plan A, plan B, sometimes plan C, and then I have to switch on the fly.
And how tempted are you to just throw the plan out of the window? So like if Victor is ahead of you by like 2 seconds and you've like got a break planned, but you're like, I know if I don't, I can catch him and I can get the win on this handstand workout. Like, are you willing to just throw your plan away and kind of make a change because you think you can get that extra point? Like, or are you more like dialed in? Like, no, I know I've got the long game. I know there's another 5 events. I know that I need to kind of stick to my plan.
Yeah.
I guess I want to know if you're a risk taker. That's what I want to see.
Last year I took a bit of a risk on the 5K run. Like I really burned all my candles on the sprint, and it might have been smarter to take a 3rd place there and put up a bit more kilos in the Olympic total. But on the other side, maybe strategically in the long term, it's a better move. Like more people got to see me, and you have an event win, and
yeah,
it can maybe add up to Rookie of the Year, but it didn't. But like for winning the competition, it was maybe not the best idea, but it's at least something I learned now going forward.
Yeah, I mean, there are so many variables, aren't there, like to think about? Because even that's an interesting point of like for getting your name out there. You could, being the most consistent person might not like obviously you get someone like Justin won the games basically by being consistent, right? Like well, he did it twice. He didn't have any home runs. He just was very consistent. And then the one year that he had a really, really bad like first event, that consistency didn't help him get back to where he needed to be, right? So consistency is important because you can win you can easily lose the games by not being consistent. But if you're kind of consistent and then you get a good finish at the games, but it's not a podium place, there's a lot of athletes and it's really hard to kind of have your name shine above other people unless they see. Whereas it might be that you don't win the games, you know, you have some bad finishes, but you have one like home run event, and suddenly, you know, you're featured on the main page of the CrossFit Games Instagram. You get that interview at the games, and it's like, oh, who's this guy? Like, now we're gonna follow him. So is that like a mental battle that you're playing at times as well, or that's really got nothing to do with it, and that's just how it shakes out at the end, and it's kind of a, if it happens, it happens. If it doesn't, it doesn't.
Yeah, like this, like last year at the games, I came off a semi-final where I had like 3 event wins, and then my goal was like obviously like to finish high, but it was also my rookie year, so I had no clue where I stack up against like the world. So my goal was there like bring home an event, like finish as high as possible, and like if it means like sacrificing maybe one spot to have like an event win, it can mean that you have a career or you don't have a career. Maybe if I was smart last year, I would still be at work this year. So it's always if, and at that time I think it was not well thought, but it was maybe thinking about it afterwards like a good decision or investment.
Yeah, I think there are some moments from the games and semifinals where people who like, they didn't even win event. I mean, you think about like Rebecca Fouzier, like that picture of her, that's like one of the most iconic pictures from the CrossFit Games. She didn't win that event.
She was last place.
She was last place, right? But
yeah.
But now everybody knows who she is because it's now one of like the most iconic pictures from a CrossFit Games. So don't take last place, though, Jelle. Don't throw it away last place just to get a cool picture. But
if that means what it takes, then I prefer not to be the head of the picture.
Yeah, no.
Yeah,
get
but
the
it's
picture
very cool
because you won
picture.
the event. It is a cool picture.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. But yeah, it'll be interesting to see you back this time, not as a rookie. So no chance to get Rookie of the Year. Sorry that we know you can't win that. So I guess it has to be a podium place. That's kind of what you've got to fight for this year, I'm afraid. But don't worry.
Thanks.
You've already got the title of fittest in Belgium. So that's
multiple years.
Multiple years. Yeah.
Just in Belgium.
Yeah. Despite what the other IT guys think, they're fighting for it. Any final thoughts on all of this, Lucile? Is he drinking a can of Fit Aid?
Of course he is.
Of course he is. So this is where I saw you at FitFest.
Drinking Fit Aid?
No, so I went over. I had to. I was meeting up with Jennifer Muir, and so she was doing like the Fit Aid. Look at him; he's got his little fridge there. Not sponsored, are you, Jelle?
No, not sponsored. Just a fan.
Just a fan. So when I went over to the Fit Aid booth where they were doing like an activation there. And so Jelle was there, and I'm trying to think who else. There's a whole group of you.
Kelsey, Jen.
Yeah, but I didn't get to speak to any of them because they had to do some pictures, and the lighting wasn't very good on that side. Do you remember that? So you all went around to the other side of the booth where there was the thing.
Yeah, in the end.
And because I know Zach, he was like, "Can you man the Fit Aid booth while we all go away to go around the other side and take a picture?" So I was actually working on the other side of the booth.
Okay, we were close.
So we were very close. Yeah, just I made that picture possible. Every time you see that picture now, just think this wouldn't have happened if Jason hadn't been there, not giving people Fit Aid on the other side of the booth.
Thank you.
But that was a cool event. That was a cool event, getting to see you guys throw down in those team comps. So that was a lot of fun. I hope we'll see you. I want to ask a question, but it's also it's almost too early to ask. But are you thinking about things like Rogue? Are you thinking about if there is going to be like a FitFest 2, like if you can get back to that, or are you just there's the games and nothing else matters at the moment?
I'm always 1 or 3 steps thinking ahead. So I want to go like to Rogue, especially because in Scotland, I think it will bring a lot of like supporters that don't want to travel like twice in a year to the States.
Yeah,
and it's such a cool environment. But with the new qualifying system, I can only do my best at the games and hope.
Yeah. Well, I hope you're there. I hope you're there. So when you talk about people that are not traveling to the States but will travel to Scotland, here I am. So
Okay.
I've got my flights, hotel, and now tickets for Rogue, so I will be there.
Nice.
But
I think you should at least ask one hard question for Lucile. I think she had a too easy time for her first podcast.
that's what I brought you on. What should I ask her? Yella, you've got all the background information. Lucile, who's your favorite athlete that you represent?
No,
No, that's a harsh question.
You
all
said
I
a
can
hard.
say is all of them are like my kids. That's what I want to say.
Oh,
Some are
okay.
more well educated, some are more independent, some but it's like, how can you ask your parents which kid they like better? Well, that's the same for me.
I've got 2 kids. Feel free to ask.
Yeah, it's
No.
just
Okay, Yella, quick. We've got a few seconds left. What question should we ask? What do you want to ask, Lucile? What question does she dodge you on, but now she can't because this is a public forum?
I'm not here to really speak.
Yeah.
I'm not here to it's more sometimes to maybe make what we do a bit more known. Like, we're not just here to take money out of athletes. We're actually here to make their life better. We are here to actually know the price that they should go for brands. We're here to make their life easier, like to take some burden out of their shoulders. We're here like to organize goodie bags for the seminars.
Which were very epic.
You see?
But
I had
it's more those things. I think a lot of people just don't really know what we do, and it's fine because, again, the athletes are always the one that needs to shine. We're not the one that needs to be in the front lines or the one that we need to speak about.
No,
but
I think it's because you're like a wall. This is the problem. This is why, like, it's interesting because I think you really actually have quite a hard job where you've positioned yourself, in the sense that, like, Yella's first kind of observation is, can I trust these people? Like, what are they trying to get from me? Is this good for me? Is this a scam? And I think that's understandable, and especially if you're getting to athletes when they're up and coming. Because I guess, if someone approaches Justin as like, I want to manage you, because it's sort of like, well, yeah, I've got 2 games titles to my name. I can understand why, why you want to attach yourself to me. But maybe Yella's going like, well, this is a bit odd. Like, I'm not used to this kind of thing. But then on the other side, you've got people like me that are like, oh, I want to talk to Jelle. And I'm like messaging him at semifinals, and then I'm getting a message from you saying, leave my guy alone. He's busy. He's focused on it. I know you didn't do that, but
I would say to you, hey, let's chat after semifinal and make that happen. I would never say leave my guy alone.
But you see what I mean? People like external people are going to perceive you as kind of a barrier to, and it might not even be, I'll be honest with you, it's not you. It's potentially other managers and agents that are pretty harsh wall to getting access to their athletes. And so we kind of put you all in one box.
Yeah. And again, like, there is different thing. Obviously, managers and agents do their job all differently. We're all humans, so we do it the way we feel like it as well. But sometimes it can come from the athlete as well. Some athletes just, if they go through a personal time that they really don't want to be bothered, then we need to take on the bullet. And sometimes, like, it might just sound unfair to the person receiving the message and everything. But if tomorrow Jelle is saying to me, like, Lucile, I cannot deal with that anymore. I need you to shut down everything. I don't want to be contacted. I will be harsh on those people because they are the people I need to protect. And obviously, like, I would always try to mitigate or to make sure that nobody is hurt in the process. But the well-being of my athlete will always, always, always be priority to anything else. And while I am a huge supporter of media, because without media, our sport cannot grow. And that's why I always think it's super important for my athlete to come online and speak about them and inspire people. Like, there is so many things that we could say about Jelle that we didn't say during that podcast, because we would need hours. But how he was a judoka before at a huge level, how he used to run with his dad when he was younger. That's why he's such an amazing runner. How, like, there is so many amazing stories about every athlete that we have in CrossFit that we actually don't know. And I think that's a bit our job as well, managers, to make sure that all of those stories are shared with media, to make sure that they inspire people and they grow the sport. They are the one that will grow the sports. They not, so that I think is where we are also very much needed to make sure that we also know the story, because I can reach out to you or to other platforms saying, hey, you know that about Jelle, like find, some fun facts, something that could be dug deeper, that could be like, oh, someone can relate. Oh, I used to do judo. Oh, wow. So that means maybe that could translate into that sport. And maybe they will find CrossFit, or maybe they will find IROX, or maybe they will find weightlifting in the process, but they will still find a fitness pursuit, which I think at the end of the day is the goal. So that's what we also do. So we're not just here just for contracts. That's most of the thing, is we're just here to make sure that we make sense in their life. And it's not just about the agency or what roster do we have, is how do we impact their life? What is the added value that we bring to our athlete? So but that's how I see it.
Well, I hope Jelle feels bad now for trying to put you on the spot after
You can
clearly
still try to put me on the
you're one
spot.
of his biggest fans.
Of course.
I see that his coach has turned up again. Is wondering why he's not working out.
Yeah, but you can still try to catch me with a question, Jelle. Waiting for it.
No, I think you showed already that you can talk very well.
Yeah,
that's why she's an agent.
Yeah, I think you've impressed him today, Lucile. Well done.
We've worked together. Like, if I have to say something also about Jelle, is like, he's so dedicated and so disciplined in everything he does, that as his agent, I have the pressure as well to deliver at the same level of what he does, because you just cannot, you cannot lag. You cannot, like, sometimes he sends me a message and he's like, yeah, what about that? And I'm like, oh my God. Oh no. Okay. I sent him everything, because everything with him is such at high standards that he keeps me on my toes, which is amazing. And I love it. But that's what I love working with.
I imagine, like, you try to be 3 steps ahead, but Jelle's already said he's always 3 steps ahead. So you need to be like 6 steps ahead if you want to try and be ahead of this guy.
But it's good. It's a good battle. Sometimes I surprise him, but
when you start booking accommodation for next year's CrossFit Games already, then we know.
No, because he will tell me in that case, Lucile, we're not there yet. We didn't. We're not there yet. So I will be like, okay, just in case. He's like,
and I would never go to spectate. I will only go if I'm there competing.
I did it this year actually, and it didn't turn out too well. Like, I booked all my accommodations the moment, like, locations were how do you say it? They announced, and they all got cancelled. I don't know. Like, people, they just put it open on Airbnb, and then they say, oh, maybe it's not available. Like, for Lyon, I had to like rebook 3 times.
Oh, really?
And I think that's a stress you don't have when you're last minute guy, but that's something I figured out this year.
Don't say that. You scared me now for Rogue.
Well, I think it's more of a French problem, to be honest.
Is it? Yeah.
Problem. French people, I've seen the opportunity to raise the price, and it happened to a lot of people that booked in advance in Lyon. A lot. Yeah. So I
also had it already for Fort Worth.
Really?
Yeah. Now I booked my second Airbnb.
So this is the problem. I guess if you're going through like hotels, it's like that gives you that more guarantee, because it's harder for them to just cancel a room and then up the prices and rebook the rooms. But obviously then you don't have access to like your kitchen and your the fridge to do all the food prep and all the stuff you need to do. So it's that like weird balance, right? But Airbnbs are kind of the Wild West a little bit of like hotels. So interesting. Right. Well, I hope
not stress at all. Now that I'm like, okay, this Airbnb is booked, everything's gonna be okay. What do we need to plan now? So now that's what's waiting for me in the coming days.
Okay. So, I am excited to see, and you'll have to let me know, like in a private message one day, Lucile, what is the message that Jelle cannot send himself to someone, and he has gone through you to be like, shut these people down. I cannot. I've got to maintain this friendly, fun persona, but tell them,
because
unleash the dogs.
Don't like a lot of athletes will never want to upset anyone, that's for sure. And I'm not talking about Jelle. I think Jelle is a very straightforward, neutral tone, can say whatever he wants to people without them being upset. But a lot of like maybe younger athletes are a bit more afraid to say no, or they don't want people to think they don't like them and things like that. So that's where we come handy. We play good cop, bad cop.
Good cop, bad cop. Okay, interesting. Oh, I imagine it's and then you're working with Snorri, so I reckon you've got a set, like a backup bad cop if you need.
I have a bad cop, but the thing is, like obviously I've been working now with Snorri for like 3 years, and obviously like he mentored me into this job, and obviously I still use him a lot as a soundboard and everything, but it's more like now he's coming out of the shadow as well of him, and just like I'm not his glorified assistant, which I think a lot of people believe. Even we work a lot together, and I remind him a lot of stuff as well. But it's more like like.
Do you know what? It wouldn't surprise me to find out that he's the one calling you in to be the bad cop. That's probably the reality of it.
You should ask him that question, and I think by Jelle's laugh, he can. I mean, I have my temper. I have my opinions. But at the end of the day, it's not about me. Always, it's about those guys over there that we work for, and work with.
That's nice to be able to just deflect constantly. Well, you said this when you were like, "Oh, I'm nervous about coming on the show," and I was like, "Don't worry, you've got Jelle to hide behind. Just bounce everything back to him. He'll be there. He'll take the bullets for you." This is like the reverse of what's generally happening in your relationship, where you are supposed to be the one kind of taking the bullets for Jelle. On the show, he's doing it for you. He's the face, and you can just hide behind him and go, "Yeah, that's good." But actually, I think Jelle's got something really interesting to say about that, and just constantly bounce it back to him. What you have done is set up a part 2, because I'm going to have to get Jelle back on to ask all these questions about the massive amount of things you just threw out in the last 2 minutes of like, "Oh, did you know he had a background in this, and he used to do this with his dad?" And he used to, okay, right. So notes are taken. Jelle, I have to get you back on at some point, but I know that your time is precious. So
I will get some food in now.
Yeah. Okay. So let's wrap this up. Thank you so much, Jelle, for coming on. All the best with your training. I saw you put out a story asking for like an OCR place or something. So I can't wait to see what the next stage of your training looks like.
Saturday.
You're going Saturday? Oh, brilliant. So everybody keep your eyes peeled on that. He's also got some swimming going on at the moment and some crazy gymnastic stuff. So it's a fun watch. Your Instagram at the moment is a very interesting place to be. So if people aren't already following Jelle, they absolutely should. Lucile, thank you so much for coming on, and also all the kind things you've been doing for me behind the scenes as well. You're very helpful. So I appreciate the hard work you're doing for all of your athletes, and braving the spotlight for a change, and actually being dragged kicking and screaming onto the show. I do appreciate that. If you're watching this, which I know if you're in America, you're probably not, but anyway, thank you for watching, everybody. I will be back on Wednesday with Justin Kotler and Alex Kazan. So that should be a good one at a more favorable time for those in the States. And just kind of due to the nature of the show and the fact that I am negotiating different people's schedules, I don't really have a fixed time for this. So if you're not subscribed to the channel and maybe hitting the notification bell, that would help you know when the different shows are going live, or I always post up everything on my Instagram as well. So thank you once again to Jelle and Lucile. Thank you everyone for watching, and hopefully I'll see some of you on Wednesday.
Thank you.